Andrew Gosden is an intelligent 14-year-old and he disappeared 2 weeks ago. He hasn't been seen since.
Today, a 14-year-old boy is missing and his mum and dad need your help.
Andrew went to school one morning and he's not come back.
Someone, somewhere, knows where he is.
And it could be you.
A 14-year-old boy with perfect attendance and excellent grades decided to skip school and take an hour-and-a-half train ride to the capital. His reason for traveling that day and his subsequent fate were never established. While police and family remain hopeful he is alive, there are no clues to help solve his disappearance. Welcome to Without a Trace. I'm your host, Jalyn. Every file holds a mystery. Every story deserves to be heard. This is Andrew's story. Andrew Gosden was born on July 10, 1993, the second and youngest child of Kevin and Glenys Gosden. He grew up in a suburb of Doncaster, South Yorkshire. Andrew was described as being a home bird who rarely left the house and never without saying where he was going. Andrew attended a Catholic high school where he was a gifted student and never missed a day of school. He was on the Young, Gifted, and Talented program, which was designed to enhance the educational development of the top 5% of students. Andrew was a prize-winning mathematician who was destined for Cambridge. But Andrew seemed neutral about school and said little about his school life to his parents. Andrew's parents were both committed Christians, but prior to his disappearance, Andrew had not been going to the church for the last 18 months. He had been a club scout, but a few months before his disappearance, he told his father that he would no longer involve himself in the group. Some notable things about Andrew is that he wore strong prescription glasses, is deaf in his left ear, and has a distinctive double ridge on his right ear. During the summer of 2007, Andrew's parents suggested that he travel alone to London to stay with his grandmother, but Andrew chose not to go. He instead spent the summer break at home. On September 6, 2007, Andrew returned to school. He chose to break his normal routine twice. He had told his parents he walked the 4-mile route to school rather than taking the bus. This trek would have taken him around an hour and 20 minutes to make. Andrew's father described the evening of September 13th as uneventful. The family ate dinner together, as was usual for them. Then they washed the dishes afterwards. Andrew spent an hour assembling a jigsaw puzzle with his father, then watched some television with his mother. On the morning of September 14th, Andrew had difficulty waking up and seemed irritable. This is something his mom noted as being unusual because Andrew always woke up on time. At 8:05 a.m., Andrew left his house and was witnessed walking across the local park to his usual bus stop. However, instead of taking the bus to school, Andrew diverted from his usual routine. He walked to an ATM where he withdrew £200 from his bank account. From there, Andrew was captured on a neighbor's security camera returning home. At home, Andrew placed his school uniform in the washing machine and his blazer on the back of his chair, as he normally did. He changed into casual clothes consisting of a black slip-knot t-shirt and jeans. He took a bag embellished with various patches of rock and metal bands and also took his wallet, keys, and a PSP console. Andrew did not take his passport with him, nor did he take the £100 in cash that he had stored in his room, saved from previous birthdays. At 8:30 a.m., Andrew departed the house, and a neighbor's camera saw him heading down Littlemore Lane. He then walked to Doncaster railway station and purchased a one-way ticket to London, which cost him about £32. The ticket seller recalls that she told Andrew a return ticket would just cost a little bit more, but he insisted on a single ticket. At 9:35 a.m., Andrew was seen boarding the train to King's Cross Station alone. A woman later recalled sitting next to Andrew on the train and remembered that the boy was quiet and just played on his PSP. Andrew arrived at King's Cross Station at 11:20 a.m. He was captured leaving the main entrance of the station at 11:25 that morning. This was the last sighting of him. When Andrew failed to attend morning lessons at school, his teachers tried contacting his parents. The school believed that they had called the Gosdens and left a message. However, they called the wrong number and the message was left on the wrong person's phone. That evening, not knowing anything was out of the ordinary, the Gosden family and a family friend sat down for dinner, thinking Andrew was either playing video games in the converted cellar or in his room doing homework. When the family realized Andrew was not in the house, they initially thought he could be with a friend and had lost track of time. His parents phoned his friends, who informed them that Andrew was not there and he had not been at school that day.
We just made an assumption that Andrew had come in from school and was either in his room or in our converted cellar room, and we just called him for tea, and then we realised that he wasn't in the house.
Thought, well, did he forget his key, and go to our friends where the spare is and get chatting with his son. And when that turned out to be wrong, we just started getting worried.
Andrew's parents called the police around 7 p.m. His family initially believed something must have happened to him on the way to school. Andrew's sister Charlotte and his father Kevin searched his route to school in nearby areas, but found nothing. Within 3 hours of discovering Andrew's disappearance, a missing persons flyer was produced for circulation. Andrew's friends and family continued to search the area into nightfall. That weekend, police searched the bushes near the family's home, but found nothing. 3 days later, after speaking to the woman who had sold Andrew his train ticket, the police confirmed that Andrew had traveled to London. The ticket seller remembered Andrew refusing the return ticket from London. Kevin later said that Andrew's purchase of a single ticket didn't seem strange, as he knew numerous people in London and could have stayed with them, so it wasn't necessary for him to have a return ticket lined out. Initial searches of London focused on the areas where Andrew's relatives lived. Andrew's family traveled to London, where they handed out flyers and posters in the vicinity of anywhere they felt Andrew would have had any interest in visiting, especially museums.
Could you have seen this boy in this area? Do you come here regularly? Is it possible you've seen this boy? Could you possibly have seen this boy at all in this vicinity?
South Yorkshire Police asked the British Transport Police to search the CCTV footage within 2 days of Andrew going missing, but police could not pick him out of the crowds. 3 weeks later, South Yorkshire Police decided to send a detective to London to review the CCTV footage in hopes of finding Andrew. In reviewing the footage at King's Cross, police were able to identify Andrew. The CCTV image of Andrew leaving the station was circulated in the media, accompanied by a close-up of his right ear, in hopes that the distinguishing characteristic would quickly be recognized. After the initial CCTV trail went cold, investigators shifted to try to establish why Andrew decided to go to London. Early theory from his family was that Andrew decided to go sightseeing, as he was known to have enjoyed London and would visit the capital with his family to see the family that lived there and visit London's museums. However, Andrew's reason for traveling that day and his subsequent fate were never established. The family and police then began investigating the possibility that Andrew had gone to London to meet someone he met online. Kevin explained Andrew did not use the computer at home, and he didn't even have an email address or set up an online account for his Xbox or PSP. Police were then able to confirm with Sony that Andrew's PSP had never been connected to Wi-Fi. Police then took the computers from Andrew's school and the local library, but their digital forensic investigations found no trace of activity by Andrew. It was quickly determined that there was no evidence to prove this theory. A year after his disappearance, the head teacher at his school traveled to London with staff and students who distributed 15,000 flyers. By this time, police had received tips of 122 possible sightings from all over Britain. Kevin said there were 2 or 3 sightings within the first week of the disappearance that seemed credible. The most plausible site placed Andrew at a Pizza Hut an hour's walk from King's Cross on the day he went missing. The family claims this lead was never investigated by police. There were additional unconfirmed sightings, including one reporting Andrew was seen sleeping in a park the next day and getting off the local train 5 days after his disappearance. Andrew's family were critical of the police's decision to concentrate on investigating the family rather than requesting CCTV footage beyond King's Cross during the initial stages of the investigation. Kevin claimed that police viewed him as a suspect during the initial stages, and they carried out unlawful recorded interviews aimed at pressuring him into revealing the reason for his son's disappearance. Kevin and the rest of the family were cleared of any involvement. In September of 2009, the family released age-progressed images of what Andrew might look like at 16 years old. A few months later, in November of 2009, Kevin appealed to the LGBTQ+ community to help find his son, as the family considered the possibility that Andrew could have been struggling with his sexual orientation. Kevin explained they are a pretty open family and have wondered if Andrew was gay or struggling with his sexual identity, but found it too awkward to ask about it. Kevin ended his plea by explaining the family loves Andrew regardless of his sexual orientation and just wanted him home.
We're desperate for him to get in touch, and there's nothing that we can't put right, Andrew. If you're worried about anything, please let us know where you are and we can talk about anything.
In May of 2011, the family paid a private company to conduct a sonar search of the River Thames. No trace of Andrew was found during the search, though it did find another body. On September 12, 2017, the police made a fresh appeal for information. A post of the police's Facebook page said they were investigating requests for similar optical prescriptions to Andrew's, requesting documents from the passport office and circulating DNA, fingerprints, and dental and health records. The tone of the statement suggested that police believed he may still be alive. In June of 2018, the family said that someone had reported an online conversation with a person with a username Andy Rue, Andy's nickname from his family. This user claimed that their boyfriend had left them and they needed £200 to cover rent. When someone offered them money, the user claimed they did not have a bank account as they had left home when they were 14. This link was investigated by police, but the person was not identified. To date, Andrew remains missing, and police are no closer to solving his disappearance. The police undertake annual checks on John Does in hospitals in hopes of finding Andrew. Staff at LNER, which operates train services from Doncaster to London, now receive training to help them identify vulnerable people and offer them support. In 2024, employees located over 120 missing people. Kevin feels this safeguarding has the potential to really change a lot of lives. Thank you for listening to Without a Trace with your host, Jolynn. I hope you enjoyed our deep dive into Andrew's disappearance. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please subscribe and follow the podcast on social media. Join me next week as I dive into another case.